Hello and welcome to The Game, football podcast from The Times. So, just how good is Morgan Rogers? That's the question on the cover of The Game supplement in The Times today, and it's the question we'll be trying to answer on this show. Has Rogers had the best 2025 of any player in the Premier League? And are Villa really in title contention? There's loads more to debate on this show too, as David Moyes hails Declan Rice as the world's best midfielder, and Wolves fans start to worry that they might be worse than the Derby County side of 2007-8. We'll also discuss Tottenham, Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And I'm Tom Clark, and today I'm joined by the former Football League legend Gregor Robertson. Starting with you, mixing it up. Hey, you can be a Football League legend on here. What's wrong with that?
Okay.
You upset with that? Should I do that
No,
again?
I'll take it all day.
Okay. Well, we've got the former Ireland legend, Tony Cascarino, and we've got the former pub drinking legend, Tom Ulnutt.
I'll take it, to be fair. Yeah, I'll take that.
Fresh from a long sesh yesterday. I thought I'd give you the big build-up like that, you see. That's what I was going for. Legends round the table.
Okay.
Legends of drinking. No hangover to speak of from Tom Ulnutt. Fantastic effort.
Yeah, a bit scratchy, but...
He looks well on it, doesn't he?
I mean, you sound like you got a hangover. But
I'm
it's
not
it's just a
hungover.
lurgy,
That's the
innit?
other thing. Yeah, bit of lurgy, bit of Lincoln hangover from Saturday. But yeah,
Yeah, we've got to put him under pressure today, then, haven't we?
Who, Tom
See if he
Ulnutt?
can deal with it, Tom.
See if he can
Are you old
handle
school,
it.
Tom?
It's about delivering, isn't it? When you're not your free-flowing best. That's what the best podders do. They get the result.
So I
Speaks the Spurs reporter.
just thought I'd set it up like that
Spursy.
as well. And if you get through this, Tony Cascarino's offered to buy you a Guinness after the show. I think Tony just wants to go to the pub. We just had the pre-show prep talking about Tom's day at the pub, and Tony now is just gagging for a Guinness. Anyway, so let's get the show out of the way so we can go to the pub. Let's start with that question that I introed on about Morgan Rogers. Gregor, you were there at Villa Park to watch another masterful display from the Aston Villa star as he beat Manchester United, I'd say on his own, but he scored the 2 goals. Villa were pretty good. Firstly, just how good is Morgan Rogers?
I mean, he's pretty good, Tom.
He's great, isn't he?
pretty
He is bloody good. I
Real
know we've
insight
talked about
there.
this already this season, but he just gets better and better, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the first goal was just a thing of beauty. Like, the ball out wide from McGinn looked like it was well over hit, and he just thrust a leg into the air into the sky to, like, kill the speed of it. Just kept it in on the line, and then it was the way he kept he used his momentum.
Yeah.
Like, Yoro was there to kind of face him up, and some players would slow down a bit, stand up the defender, and then you think, right, what am I going to do to beat him? He just kept the speed of his movement going, glided past them inside to create that space. And then I don't know if anyone saw the ref cam. These ref cams are quite good, actually, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
The view was brilliant of that goal, and just it looks so effortless too. It's just like it's the way he strikes the ball, and there was a very different way he struck the ball against West Ham, that kind of knuckleball thing. But it's the same thing when he gets the ball at his feet and he's looking at goal. There's just like a supreme confidence in the way he strikes the ball that he's gonna.
It reminds me of Bale, where Bale used to cut in, obviously different foot, but and then have that whip, like that power, and also that there's the real sort of true strike. You can see as soon as he hits it, it's like.
There's certainty about it, isn't there? Absolutely. I mean, in terms of Villa's performance as well, pretty good on the whole. Deserved winners, do you think?
There wasn't much in it. Other than Rogers. Rogers was the game changer, the deciding factor. United, Villa started really, really well, and they could have scored 2 or 3 in the first 10 minutes, and then United kind of got a foothold. And although there were moments where, like, Ugarte was stationed in front of the back three, if you look at their back three, Shaw, Aidan Heaven, and Lenny Yoro, they just shipped 4 goals against Bournemouth last week. They needed to put someone in front of them, and Ugarte, I think there was a stat United lost all of the last 6 games in which he'd started. Like, he's not a fan favourite, but he put his foot in. There was a few moments where he got caught and you saw his limitations on the ball, but he did a job, actually, I think. Right. And the way that United kind of flooded the centre of the pitch, which is where Villa always catalyse those sort of sweeping attacks. They always try and build them from the centre and then spring. And United, on the whole, blocked that avenue. And then they created a few chances themselves. Cunha was at the heart of most of the good work that they did.
Should have scored that header in the second half.
Should have scored it, could have equalised. So, there wasn't much in it. I'd say for how depleted United are, obviously they lost Bruno Fernandes at half time. Yes. They were without, I think, 7 players before that. Obviously, players at AFCON, Casemiro suspended, both De Ligt and Maguire injured. They're really down to the bare bones. They ended the game with a midfield of Lisandro Martinez and 18-year-old Jack Fletcher, son of Darren, making his full debut. So like, they're down to the bare bones. And having said all that, they performed pretty well, pretty admirably. And Amram said he thought they were the better team. I think that was, a matter of judgment, but
probably
there wasn't much in it.
Gregor, first half, Man United, better team.
There wasn't much in it. I don't think throughout. There were spells, like as I say, Villa had that chance. They had Aidan Heaven thwarted Ollie Watkins twice in the first 8 minutes with 2 great blocks.
I think he was good. Quite good.
He was good, yeah. Rodgers had a little flick as well from the back when it was a corner, and I think Ian Maatson flashed it back across goal. Rodgers got a wee instinctive flick that almost ended up in the corner, so they could have been in front. But then United had chances. Cunha, Sesko's the kind of other question mark. It's like, when's he gonna grasp the opportunity?
Well, it's a bit like the Isak sort of position where he'd been injured during the course of the season, hasn't quite got going. His pre-season was interrupted because of transfer speculation. It wasn't only Manchester United were after him; Newcastle apparently were as well. You see that in his game. Now there's Gregor said their instinct. Morgan Rodgers is playing on instinct, and that's a great place to be for a player who's not really having to think too much. It feels like everything is quite easy for him at the moment. I mean, Euro made it easy for him because I think Euro didn't get close enough and didn't, make it harder for him to score. I did a piece a couple of weeks ago talking about Villa as a team and don't carry no superstars. And I did actually say that maybe you could argue Morgan Rodgers might become that. I actually don't think he's Villa's most important player.
Really?
No, I don't. I think the goalkeeper is.
Oh, no.
I think the goalkeeper is.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper pulls off a lot of big saves. Martinez
saves in this. I mean, he thought, to be fair, that one of Sesko's best opening, he just raced off his line and thorted it. Kind of,
and that was one where I watched it and thought, you got to score, and then you watch the replay again and go, actually, that's a great save from Martinez.
Yeah. And that's why I think if Villa are going to have any chance of staying in this Premier League race, Martinez is going to be really important to them. I think also you've got to say that Ollie Watkins is going to have to up his game a bit because 2 years ago he carried Villa more than anybody. I think this year he's found it a lot tougher.
I think he is looking better. I
yes,
think in this game he was making the kind of runs you'd expect.
What's he got now? 3 Premier League goals?
Not enough.
If they're going to have a title charge and get really close to Arsenal or Man City, he's going to have to get closer to 10 to 12 goals from here on in. I feel. But Villa are what I thought 2 weeks ago when I talked about, they're just such a hard team to play against because they make you earn everything you do in a football match. And that's the strength.
We were talking earlier in the season about how the sort of lack of signings for Villa and how we thought the sort of lack of freshness could be a problem. But I guess conversely now, you this is what happens when the results go well. You sort of retrofit the narrative, right? But it feels like they have such a sort of good core group of players there who have been together for so long. You think like Konsa and Watkins, McGinn. They've got like a really good group there. And it's about leadership, obviously, but I just think they know each other so well, and they just have such a really good unity in the group, which I think is a massive part of it. A familiarity they have.
Emery started his Villa career with a 3-1 against United in November 2022. 6 of the starting 11 were playing in that game.
Really?
So it's extraordinary when you actually this is all about Morgan Rodgers, but Emery as well. It's Emery. I mean, he's taken largely the same core of players. I did a few more that have been really important at different stages. I think of Rashford and Asensio last season, and then Rodgers from the off. But it's Emery. It's what Emery has done to this group of players and the sort of improvement he's drawn out of them, and the sort of the belief and the culture that he's created as well. It's like it's always about. Even in the press conference afterwards, he was like, I wasn't happy with Morgan Rodgers for most of the first half. And even after he scored the goal, like, I wasn't happy.
Is that why he threw his coat in there, by the way? That's the least Unai Emery thing I've ever seen.
He put that down to adrenaline, he said. He's like, and then he tried to sort of, he laughed about it, and then he straight away back to serious face again. No, I wasn't happy with Morgan Rodgers until this moment. So he's just doing an incredible job. I mean,
Rodgers as well, like, you forget, when Villa were bad in that first, few games, he was really bad. Like, him and Watkins were struggling, and he sort of embodies this whole, like, transformation, doesn't he? Because, he could. I saw him early on against, I think, City or Spurs, can't remember, and he was pretty poor. Like, the transformation has been so quick, and I think it's also interesting with Rodgers in terms of England, because I sort of feel like the debate between him versus Bellingham has always been kind of framed around well, Rodgers is a good team player. He runs and he's part of the system and he's good for Kane and he's he's a good lad and he's a good Tuchel man.
Yeah. You have the debate and then go, but Rodgers is good.
But Rodgers is good.
Yeah.
And when he's playing like this, you almost think, well, he's playing better than Bellingham at the moment. In terms of football, he's playing better. It's not just about the running and the pressing and the teaminess. He's actually playing better too.
That's it. He's elevating his status to that level.
Yeah,
like that's what he's done this season already. He's like, you're always thinking, it was almost like Tuchel put him in and just to see how good he could be, or just to kind of fill a hole when there were players out injured, and that was Foden, that was Bellingham. They were like. But now he's on that level. Yeah. He's lifting himself to that level. He needs to do it consistently, but he is on that level.
Yeah. This time last year, this was exactly the same conversation about Bellingham, what he was doing at Real Madrid. If you look at Christmas period, December, scoring loads of goals, you actually have to remind yourself, Bellingham's younger than Morgan. Most of us think, I always think like Morgan's going to be younger.
Yeah.
No, actually, Bellingham's still up 22 and he's 23, Morgan.
Yeah.
So, look, he's got the world at his feet at the moment. He's brimming with confidence. He's taking shots and pops at goal from distances. And, I just think it's really weird because you have very few games in your career where you actually feel like you're playing well, you've got loads of confidence and everything's working for you. And it is for him.
I just think coming back to that question then about the calendar year 2025 being the kind of year of Morgan Rodgers' emergence. And like I was looking some of the stats for goals and assists, he ranks 6th in the Premier League behind Haaland, Salah, Mbeumo, Fernandes and Antoine Semenyo. He's got 19 goals and assists in the calendar year. He's second, interestingly, behind Bruno Fernandes for assists in the calendar year, which again suggests there's more to his game than other than these amazing shots as well. Decent for chances created as well. His dribbling is what's interesting to me as well from some of the stats from Opta they provided, saying about a lot of his ability to carry the ball in a productive way. When it comes to goal-ending carries and assist-ending carries, i.e. taking the ball a decent amount and then finishing with something substantial, he is second behind Leandro Trossard with 8. Trossard has 9. Semenyo, Salah, Justin Kluivert, Anthony Elanga and Brian Mbeumo as well. So there is, as well as us saying these amazing goals, this is an all-round creative star, isn't it? I mean, can you think of other people that have had as good a calendar year when you think of his breakthrough into the England setup and how he's ending this year with everyone going, this guy is an elite level superstar?
My first, as soon as you're talking, obviously there's others like Rice has had a great year. I think Dominic Szoboszlai is up there.
Good shout, yeah.
I think he's had an amazing year. How well he's played for Liverpool this year.
He's now the man at Liverpool, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I would certainly, and he's only 25.
Yeah.
He's still relatively very young. He would be my first thought.
Yeah.
I think it's in terms of someone else who's elevated their status to such an extent as Elliot Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair play, yeah.
It's been a transformative year for both of those players, really. They have put themselves on a level where it's like pretty much any elite team would look at them and think you could play in our team.
And the England team. This time last year, if we'd said Elliot Anderson and Morgan Rodgers are going to start for England at the World Cup, we're sitting here now going, great shout, good Thomas Tuchel, smart guy. Last year we'd have been like, what, really?
Yeah.
Tom, I mean, on that theme, Riley is a more of a recent one, isn't he?
Yes.
But, Riley now right straight into left back. Really looks like he's got that sort of. He's the number one pick for that position, I think.
Rodgers is all the other thing to say. He's basically playing on the left, so like it's another. I know. England and what Tuchel is trying to do is all about the direct running and dynamism. He wants width. He wants, vertical football basically, and he kind of Rodgers. Although he's got that, he is a great athlete. He is someone more who kind of drifts into pockets and.
He done that against Arsenal, didn't he? Sort of playing that left side and filled in holes, on the left side of the forward line.
Well, Emery's tweaked it a bit. Yeah. Tielemans plays a bit more advanced and McGinn's kind of on the right, but they drift in. It's really kind of quite narrow and the fullbacks often provide the width. So he's versatile as well. He can play in a lot of positions. He could play anywhere across that kind of front line. But it's going to be fascinating to see whether... Because he is... it's been fine margin football for Villa. I think out of the last 8 games, they've won them all by a single goal.
Yeah.
So they've conceded a goal, and obviously in 7 out of 8 of them. He's basically single-handedly won the games against Leeds, against West Ham, and now this game, scoring 2 goals in each. That can't continue, but
is that your way of saying no, they're not in the title race, Tom, before I ask that final question?
No, because the thing is, he is someone who you think this form could be sort of season-defining. It's that good.
Like Gareth Bale at Tottenham.
It's that good. His impact could be that kind of profound. There's also the things about could Watkins now step up, and what that would add to them, so that share the load. Could Harvey Elliott eventually make an impact in the team? Could Jadon Sancho eventually? There are still, there's some players who are injured.
Well, he made two
too.
big loan signings, didn't he, last January?
Yes, which took them on a level.
And,
January will be important.
Yeah. So where Rashford came in, what excites me is, I mean, look, I was at the Villa and I loved it there. I was really gutted when I left the club. But what I would say, the West Midlands needs some club to make a statement, because you've seen it in East Midlands with Leicester and what they did in 16. But in general, the Midlands football's really suffered, hasn't it? North West has been dominant. You've had London clubs win things. I just think the Villa for the West Midlands, that sort of gives me a bit of, I hope they keep going. And I was involved in 1990 in their running of, we ended up coming second. I joined when we were first.
It's big of you to always bring that up. It's very you've said that many times, and
so
you always
saying it.
No, it's big of you to bring it up. I'm saying it's very good of you, because a lot of former players would be like, "No, I'm never mentioning that." That's a bad
but
fact.
I got I just love the way they approach the game. I just feel like it's a real proper team, and that's kept him. As Tom mentioned, the amount of players that have been there and played a part. Gregor's all the numbers, and you've added in players that could they have a great second half of the season? Imagine if Villa players come in, like you said. Sancho came in and done something, Harvey Elliott, and then Ollie Watkins got going. They'd be like, well, Villa would have a chance.
Yeah,
they should go for a trophy. I mean, that's what I think. I don't think they're going to win the league. The sort of the numbers. Most of the kind of data suggests they're slightly overperforming. Like, I think the squad is probably not quite good enough. And I also just think maybe in a season where it's a bit of an off season, those years where Napoli win the league or Atletico Madrid, Leicester, of course, like you always need the Giants to be sort of having a bit of an off one. Arsenal and City are really good this season. That's a problem for anyone who kind of wants to interrupt that. So I don't see that. But I think in Europe and like in the cups, like Emery's great in those tournaments. We know that. So like, why not go for it? Like, I think they should go and try and win a title.
Yeah, exciting times. Villa fans, do get in touch with me, tom.clark@thetimes.co.uk, with thoughts on your team's hopes for the season, and also listeners, if you've got any other suggestions for the player of 2025 to rival Morgan Rogers, do get in touch with me as well. It's time for another big debate, guys, courtesy of David Moyes, hailing Declan Rice at the weekend as the best midfielder in the world, which is quite a claim. We all know David Moyes loves Declan Rice from their time together at West Ham, but it is a big statement. Paul Joyce has tackled the debate in the Times today. You can read that on the website later on. What do we think? I mean, it's not a terrible shout from David Moyes. Best midfielder in the world, Declan Rice. He's pretty good.
I think he's got a bit of bias there, hasn't he? Because he had him at West Ham and sold him and said they didn't get enough money for him, even 105 million. I think Caicedo's pretty much up there as well. I'd put him in there. I think he's a brilliant disruptor of the play. And
but the way Rice has come on in terms of that,
he's come on leaps
and the perception of him. We're talking a lot about perception on this show with Rodgers and stuff. A lot of people, Gregor, you were one of them, talking about Rice's ability further up the pitch. Yeah. A lot of people used to say, "Oh, he's a defensive midfielder," and actually, David Moyes, maybe it's just Scottish people who can spot a kind of box-to-box potential in Declan Rice.
I feel like there's been two leaps. I feel like that leap happened maybe a year ago, that everyone kind of, when he first went to Arsenal and he was sort of unleashed and you saw more of his attacking sort of abilities. Then there was his impact in the Champions League last season, when obviously there was those goals against Real Madrid, but he just dominated most games he played in against Europe's elite, which was for the first time really. So he's taken those strides, and in this season you feel like it's just his consistency, and again his dominance in most games, and his impact. And always, like, there are more elegant players. We always have this conversation, don't it? With in terms of Jude Bellingham as well. They're more elegant players. They're more technically sort of better technical footballers than both of those players. But in terms of impact on the game, how impactful you are, there are very few players more impactful than Declan Rice. And it's the same as true of Jude Bellingham at his best. Like, I'd put those two players in kind of the same sort of bracket, because what they do is they're like a force of nature. So that's really important. Caicedo's sort of like that too. And then you come away from that a bit and you look at like Vitinha, or I love Fabian Ruiz as well. Like they're elegant footballers, great passers, great technical footballers.
Yeah, Pedri's the other one I was thinking.
Yeah, I'd say Bruno Guimaraes could be in that category. He could play for an elite team, and he's kind of got a bit of both. He's technically brilliant, and he's got that kind of real sort of, I don't know, hunger and sort of animal instinct as well. But also a bit of class. Did you see his little flick at the weekend where he does all the sort of defensive work, but he got the ball and he just flicked it round these sort of kind of a line breaking pass that was like almost like a kind of dragging Cruyff. It was unbelievable. He's got great class as well.
Could we add another one in there that he's still very young, but looks like he's got all that same elements of stature, size, is Lewis Miley. Could we be talking about him in 2 years' time being that type of midfielder? Because he's got quality of being a big man, glides across the pitch, got a bit of an eye for a goal. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in Newcastle's central midfield next season, all season.
Well, if Gregor's trying to tout Bruno Guimaraes to go somewhere else, then he might need him in midfield.
Yeah. I don't know. Right?
Yeah, definitely a really good shout. Tom, just your thoughts on, we've talked about a lot of midfielders there.
I think Rice is in the group. I wouldn't probably put him in the kind of top 3 or 4, but I think he's probably in the top 5 to 10.
Who's your top 3 then?
He's a contender.
Who's your top 3?
I think Pedri is the best. I mean, there's obviously different players. I mean, Pedri's a creator, but I think he's the best technical midfielder in the world at the moment, Pedri. I mean, I think all round, I think Caicedo is right up there as a kind of like box to box, kind of all round sort of midfielder. I think he's. And I would say Vitinha. I mean, I saw Vitinha score a hat-trick from midfield about 3 weeks ago.
Vitinha's the one for me that I was like...
And none of us have said Rodri.
No, I was thinking...
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
He's very
I was thinking that as well.
In this moment. But
none of us have said Scott McTominay either, Gregor.
He's at number 10 now, Tom.
Yeah, basically a striker. You can't include him in the midfield list. Well, as I say, listeners, do get in touch with me, tom.clark@thetimes.co.uk. Who is the best midfielder in the world if it's not Declan Rice? A final debate for the first half of the show. Is anyone starting to think that Wolves might not beat Derby County's points tally of 11 from 2007-8, a 2-0 defeat at home to Brentford at the weekend? Some fairly desperate comments from Matt Doherty and the Wolves dressing room after this game. It sounds like it's kind of gone already, doesn't it, Gregor? I mean, Tony, you've been in dressing rooms as well, where you start to hear from the outside going, how do these guys turn it around? What do they do?
I don't remember any teammate or anything talking about us being cowardly in this press, though.
That was a line in the sand that I don't think will go down well, because there might be, it's a get out of jail for Matt Doherty, is it? Like,
as in his teammates will be looking at it.
Well, they might. Well, you're pointing the finger and cowardly. Someone might go and say, "Who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Which particular player or players have you got an issue?" Because there's obviously cliques in the dressing room.
Yeah.
If you're losing a lot of games, it's going to be, in it, Gregor. It's going to be a lot of fractured groups in there. And we're looking at them today, and I'm thinking, you've had the comments of Matt Doherty, and there'll be people applauding him and saying, well done, as someone speak up about, what this team's about. Rob Edwards has walked into a dressing room. He'd probably tell you years down the line it was in the worst place and couldn't believe how bad it was. It's even worse than what he thought. Because if they can play like they did against Arsenal and defend and fight for every ball, and then a week later get beat home by Brentford and don't show particularly much, that's even a bigger criticism. Because most people say, well, if you did what you did against Arsenal, you'd probably get a result against Brentford.
Well, as you're right, that's the bright spark, isn't it? People start going, they were unlucky, they could have got a point against Arsenal. Yeah. Arsenal, the league leaders, brilliant Arsenal. And then, as you say, it's all undercut by not following it up at home.
I'm not sure that Matt Doherty, going into training today, might get a few comments from other players.
The thing is, as well, is he's in a different position to a lot of the players. He's got credit in the bank. He's been at the club over 2 spells, and like the good spell in his first time at the club before he went away to Spurs. Like, there's a lot of players who are like either younger or new, or he's talking about how you're going to be remembered at the club. Like he'll be remembered in a different way to them. So I thought that was a bit unfair personally. People say, "Oh yeah, it's great to hear a player come out and say that kind of thing." I don't think you need to hear him criticising teammates publicly.
It's in what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And it's that sort of stuff.
Yeah. But in terms of the team then, though, because let's be honest, for Wolves, for maybe the last 18 months, I feel like on this podcast I've heard lots of you say, well, they've got decent players in there, they've got a good couple of midfielders. They're on 2 points, guys. It's December. It's nearly the turn of the year. It's looking really bleak.
But they sold all the best players. They sold Cunha. They sold, a lot of the...
Eight Nori,
yeah. I mean, they had a bad summer. Yeah. They sold some really key players, and they brought in a lot of punts, or, I mean, they would say potential, but unproven players, who haven't done it quickly enough. So they've been left really light in terms of the squad. It's that thing as well where, I think there was the idea with Edwards came in, is it for this season, but also maybe for next season, when they go down, and maybe he can be the guy that kind of brings them back up. But I always think when a team gets into this kind of habit of losing every week, it's very hard to click your fingers and say, okay, we're in a new division, new season, we suddenly start winning and be a promotion team. Like, you start worrying about what they're going to be about next year in the Championship as well, in my opinion.
If they've gone down with 10 points, then they've set a new Premier League record, and Derby County fans are finally cheering and shouting them on. But I mean,
at the moment,
do we think, have they got that in them? They're better than that, aren't they?
Yeah, still a long way to go. I mean, and there have been some bright, some green shoots, shall we say, and small ones, but they have been there. The Arsenal performance wasn't bad. Again, they're like, even in this game, the goals were just so easy. Like, it's just moments where they're not good enough, in particularly in their own penalty box, and it just kills them. And then the life drains away from them, confidence. The home crowd get on their backs. It's a horrible place to play. And now, like, there's talk about Strand Larsen possibly moving on in January. Like, that's kind of probably what Docherty was alluding to as well. Are people going to try and kind of
jump ship
now? If that's the case, then yeah, it's going to be a long old season.
Worrying times for Wolves. Another good win for Brentford and Keith Andrews, though. Loads more still to come in the second half of the show, but it's time for a quick break. After the break, we'll be discussing Liverpool's win at Tottenham. But before that, a question from Bill Edgar's latest column about that match. What happened in this game for the first time in Premier League history involving Federico Chiesa, Emmanuel Frimpong, Alexander Isak and Conor Bradley? Find out after the break. Welcome back to the Game Football Podcast from The Times. I'm Tom Clark, and I've got Tom Allnutt, Tony Cascarino and Gregor Robertson with me. Back on the quiz answers, Gregor, by cheating, as usual, by reading Bill Edgar's column before coming on the podcast. So you knew the answer, which was...
How would you describe it as the first 4 substitute chain in top flight history?
Yeah, the first 4-player substitute chain in top flight history. Liverpool's Federico Chiesa came on for Emmanuel Frimpong in the 89th minute, who replaced the injured Alexander Isak in the 60th minute, who came on for the injured Conor Bradley at half-time.
Yeah, well, there's no humiliation there, because normally if you're the sub and you get subbed off.
Yes.
But all 4 of them have gone off for a reason.
Exactly, yes.
Have you ever had that, Cass?
Huh?
Ever had that?
No, never come on. Never been subbed as coming on sub. No,
you?
No.
You both played in the age of like 1, 2, and 3 subs, though, didn't you? So you'd have never.
All right.
Yeah.
These days, you
I don't want
might
to say
have.
how old I am, but
Qualifying it, he would have been.
Yeah, you might have been.
Yeah.
basically, you'd have one outfield player. When I first started the game, you have a goalkeeper and one outfield player. I think that was about right. So there were 13 men in the squad.
You were never going to have it. Gregor as well played Football League. They could barely fill a bench back then. Anyway, let's talk about Tottenham against Liverpool. Tom, you were there for this one. Firstly, the kind of broad-ranging question I always like to ask on Mondays about the right result. Tottenham in the end finishing as losers, and with people going, "Oh, they did all right with 9 men," and a completely bizarre sum up over the Tottenham season, really.
Yeah, I mean, God knows what the right result was. I've no idea. It was a completely chaotic, balmy game, to be honest. I mean, you sort of like twisting your head around, wondering who it was good for, who it wasn't good for. In a sort of weird way, I think almost Spurs probably came out with a bit more credit than Liverpool, because Liverpool made really hard work of playing against 10 men for an hour and then playing against 9 men for the last 10 minutes. And Tottenham was still, well, not 10 minutes, last a few minutes anyway with 9 men, where Tottenham were really pushing for a comeback. And you sort of thought, how on earth has Liverpool allowed this to happen? You know, and even when they were playing against 10 men, I thought Liverpool were quite hesitant, quite ponderous. I mean, it was a nice goal, really nice goal. Isak's goal. They moved it really nicely. It was a mistake from Romero, but that combination that we haven't seen enough of Wirtz to Isak, they moved it quickly and nice reverse pass, great finish. You know, that will be encouraging for Liverpool to see that kind of combination. Obviously, you know, the asterisk of Isak's injury. For Spurs, I mean, they showed some fight. You know, they did. It's that kind of cliche thing where, you know, like you're down to 10 men, therefore, you know, you made a game of it. Well done. And the South Stand with the Spurs fans at the end were applauding, which we don't often get this season, if I'm honest. You know, so there was that. And in the first 30 minutes, I thought they played pretty well. So when it was an 11v11 and we can sort of analyse it, I thought Spurs were probably just about shading the match. So overall, I think it was maybe a sort of vaguely encouraging game for Frank.
Says a lot about Thomas Frank's season, doesn't it? That Tom's going 2 men sent off, lost 2-1 at home. Pretty good. Well done, Tommy, lad. Good effort.
Well, exactly. I mean, they still lost. There's another loss at home.
Yeah.
And the red cards, it's not unlucky. It's not like someone, you know, has made them play with 9 men. They did it to themselves. It's 2 nonsensical challenges.
I was going to say, I said this after the Forest game, but Cristiano Romero is not a captain of a top elite team, is he? I mean, I know he's one of the more experienced players. I know he's won a World Cup. He's fantastic for Argentina. he's not a captain as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, he symbolises his team in a way. Like, when he's bad, he's really bad, and that's a problem when you've got for a central defender and a captain. Like, you can't have a player like that who, when they have a bad day, they get sent off and they're at fault for 2 goals. I mean, that is a problem with Romero. And when he delivers in the big games, in the big finals, and he's up for it, World Cups, of course. I mean, I think he's one of the best defenders in the world. But on an average day-to-day game, when your chips are down, is he the guy in the dressing room you're sort of looking to and thinking, he's setting the standards there? I don't think so. I mean, the red card was, damaging for Tottenham because they were really chasing an equaliser at that point. So he really killed them at that point. But also, the goal, like his pass that he gives where he gives the ball away, it was just like a lack of discipline. We talk about lack of discipline in terms of his cards and his behaviour, but actually there it's also a lack of discipline just in terms of keeping the ball.
Yeah. I felt the first 45 minutes was one of the worst Spurs-Liverpool games I've watched. It was awful. I mean, it all happened really in the second half, obviously. And Romero for the goal, Ekitike's goal. As the ball comes in, and of course Ekitike gets his hands on his back, but it's not a push. It's more of a sort of lift up.
I think
but he's finding a bit of a push, okay, but he's finding himself to the ground. He's decided that hand on my back is me going, oh, and I'm like, because you've done that, the referee's gone, well, he's found himself to the ground anyway, and it was never that much of a push. And if it would have been given a foul, I wouldn't have said, well, he has got his arms on, his hands on his shoulders, but Romero is the loosest cannon I've ever seen. I don't know what happens with him. He's one of them, the switch. You put the switch on and then suddenly, because like you said, Tom, he can be one hell of a player. But then it felt like the pass in the second half, like you said, he just pings it out. It feels like he sort of had anger. He's got anger and he's just gone, he hasn't looked for anybody. He's just smashed it out. And it's killing Spurs.
Yeah.
Thomas Frank is probably, he's even arguing with Thomas Frank as he's going off down the tunnel and he's swearing and shouting, and you think, I bet Thomas Frank thinks this is so much different from Brentford. I can control these players, and these players here are really... Because I just think... I have no proof, but it just feels like a really bad bunch to me.
I mean, with Romero and Postecoglou, I think... You get these kind of players, don't you, and every manager thinks they can kind of get them to kind of get their head down.
Ego gets the better of you, basically.
And Ange, I think, thought, he didn't make him captain, but he had a line in one of those games where he said, we need a team of Romeros. He really sort of tried to kind of get behind Romero and like make a good relationship there. I'm not sure he really repaid that faith. Frank, in a way, is similar. Like, he's come in and there was a lot to talk about whether Romero would leave last summer, interest from abroad. Spurs gave him a big new contract. Frank made him captain, almost to kind of like elevate him and say, okay, well, we need you to kind of, show the way.
Yeah.
Again, has he repaid that faith? Like, I don't know if he has yet,
So is that where the narrative with Tottenham is heading towards now with this game, where we've been focusing a lot on Thomas Frank and that maybe neutrals and the fans are now looking at the playing squad and going, actually, the manager might be all right, but this is a real problem that he's got to deal with.
Well, he's got a number of them. He's got a number of them sort of problems. Vicario in goal. Like, I'm looking at him and watching him. He's having a go at players when he makes a mistake. It's like...
All goalkeepers do that.
Oh, come, yeah, okay, Gregor, but...
The Defenders Union pipes up.
You've had Van der Ven make comments about some of the things that happen in the club. You've had the goalkeeper Vicario who's making mistakes himself. James, our boss at the Times, at the start of the season, you said, one position you think the Tottenham should change. I said the goalkeeper. And everyone was like, when I got a lot of comments from people saying, no chance, this is a decent card. I just think he's another one that's going to lose it.
Bentancur's a bit of a loose cannon too, as well.
Yeah, they've got a few.
Smash someone.
Kudos
they've got a bit of discipline towards the end
as well.
Yeah, I mean, I get like people are saying that Tom was one of them saying that Tottenham emerged with credit from this, but really, I don't. You really are struggling if this is how you're getting credit these days. For fighting with 10 men and going down to 9 and still managing almost to get an equaliser against a team whose confidence is fragile, if not like shattered. I don't see much credit in that.
No. I would add, I feel like it's a group of players that, a good number of them, think they're doing Tottenham a favour playing for them. And I thought they had that when they brought the winger, the one who played at Chelsea, the forward, the German boy, Werner, when he went to Tottenham. And it was like, what is that? I mean, he didn't play particularly well at Chelsea, but watching him play at Spurs, and I don't know, I just think there's a lot of players who think they're doing Tottenham a favour playing for them.
With those 2 points in mind, Tom, and then back to my thing about where we're at with Thomas Frank and the narrative of this season, like how did Tottenham end the kind of year? Obviously, a couple of games left before the end of 2025, but where are we at with Thomas Frank and Tottenham and the situation there?
I mean, I think it's precarious for him, really precarious. You know, I mean, this made it, I think, the most home defeats, you know, in a calendar year in the Premier League era, and a lot of that was obviously down to Postecoglou, but you know, Frank's not blameless there. He hasn't fixed that problem. I do think he's been given a tough hand in terms of the players. I agree with Tony, but that's more in forward areas. Like I think, you know, they're missing obviously Maddison, they're missing Kulusevski. Solanke has been a real killer. You know, not having that centre forward, what they weren't expecting this summer. So there are difficulties with the playing team, but also like they're 13th. You know, I mean, they shouldn't be down there. And the way they're playing, when you see Spurs, and this game in a way is hard to analyse. But when you see them playing against Forest, against Bournemouth, against Chelsea and Arsenal, the really bad games they've had, they've been so bad that it makes you think this isn't just sort of an early transition where there are, you know, some stuttering results. This is a team that isn't following the manager. That they look lost, you know, and all this kind of, we're talking about the players here in, you know, in terms of the ill discipline, but I think part of that is it doesn't look like a happy team. Yeah. Like they don't look like they're sort of together and they believe in what they're doing at the moment, and that's a real problem for Frank.
Yeah, I agree
the
with
players
that.
like what have you said about Postecoglou? There are players like Porro, Spence, Romero to an extent. They looked like they were kind of liberated. They looked like they really enjoyed playing in this buccaneering, freewheeling football. Now it's a bit more gritty, and they look, you know, there's a lot of sort of discipline that they need. They're not really. Spence looks like he wants to chuck in the towel. He looks raging all the time. I mean, I think it's quite precarious for him as well. I think that is the kind of unmistakable feeling that the players, it doesn't look like a happy camp, and it's not just because of results. Like the results started off not so bad. Like I think it's not looking good for Frank, to be honest.
Tottenham fans do get in touch with me, tom.clark@thetimes.co.uk. Just a quick word on Liverpool, Tony. An important win for them, a very really good goal for Alexander Isak, and then of course really heartbreaking. It sounds like a suspected leg break injury as with time of recording this podcast, waiting for confirmation on that. Could put him out for a long time, potentially the rest of the season. But Liverpool generally important just to win, just to keep a bit of momentum going. Did you see any bright sparks for them on the pitch?
I thought they were really poor first half. I touched on that earlier. Isak's goal and getting injured is a massive blow for him personally, because you felt maybe they can get something going. Liverpool are not playing well. And yeah, they've won. And they weren't good with 10 men, and they weren't good with 9. You know, going up against 9 men and going up against 10. So, no, I don't think there's much comfort for Liverpool fans, even though they've won that particular game and got 3 points. You might make the point, Liverpool are getting much closer to the top 4 now, which they have in recent weeks. But it still looks like there's a number of issues to be dealt with. Curtis Jones has stepped up a bit more in the last month, which has been really good. Not so many mistakes, a few more clean sheets. But again, I'm still not convinced Liverpool are going to get to the top 4 as they stand presently, because I think they have to be way better than they've been.
Yeah, in 5th at the minute on 29 points, joint with Chelsea, who are in 4th. Let's talk about their game against Newcastle. Another bonkers game on Saturday with some interesting decisions going on. This was a missed opportunity for Newcastle, though, wasn't it, Gregor, in terms of getting that early lead. Thanks very much to Voltemade for scoring those 2 goals after I took him out of my fantasy team early on Saturday morning.
He'd be a good pick for he's had a good year, by the way.
He's had a good year,
great year. And I mean, also, if you extend that to 18 months, I mean, he was, you know, Stuttgart signed him on a free transfer. You know, so within 18 months, he's gone from being a free transfer to being a 75 million signing who's, you know, playing really well in the Premier League. Another
great shout and 2 early goals in this one, but a missed opportunity for Newcastle in terms of the inconsistencies we've talked about with their season. They're in 11th. I mean, say 11th, they're still 6 points off Chelsea in 4th, which is a sign of how tight this Premier League season is.
Man United could have gone level on points with Chelsea.
Yeah, Man United in 7th on 26. Yeah, but back to Newcastle just very quickly. A missed opportunity in terms of this game.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the way the context of the game, I mean, Eddie Howe was full of praise for his team afterwards, and I think he's right. They were back to Newcastle as, you know, Newcastle at their best in terms of the intensity and how, like, they were just all over, smothered Chelsea in the first half, and then Chelsea, I think, probably got a rocket at half time, and they've crucially got the goal from James soon after half time. And then it was a ding-dong battle in the second half. And obviously the manner of the goal as well, like from João Pedro's point of view and Chelsea's point of view, it was a great goal, but from Newcastle's it's really soft. it's not just to leave yourself exposed because that's the way they do it. Like, even if they're playing a high press from open play, they're happy to go 1v1 at the back or 2v2 or whatever. But when Sanchez claimed it and then had a bit of time and then played it, it was a great kick, to be fair. You just don't get tight. You just make sure that he keeps facing his own goal. Even if he wins the header, you can get the next ball. And it's bad defending from Theo. I know he slipped, but
what about the?
And then so many incidents too. So many decisions that were like, my God, like.
What about that shoulder barge penalty then?
Yeah, I mean,
defenders union, nothing wrong with it.
The force of it was extraordinary. He threw his entire trunk into him, and just he did. It was just like absolute core stability. Bosh, and
penalty. Then
Gordon with whiplash on the floor. And
Gordon's face as well when he was looking at it, going, no, is that not a foul? How am I supposed to stay on my feet with that?
I mean,
what do we think? Penalty.
Instinctively, I don't want to to see penalties given for shoulder barges as a former defender. But my God, you can't go in that strong.
No
penalty for you.
Yes,
Tone?
It looked like I'd been hit by a Mark II truck. I was laughing because I'm with a group of people. We were watching the game and we were chatting, and one of my mates is a Chelsea fan. He went, "That's never a pen." I went, "Are you serious?" He's ironed him out. The old phrase, iron him out. He's literally took him out. And I couldn't. And then I'm thinking, well, surely the guy in VAR, I think what was the name of the game? Anyone know the...
Can't remember.
Anyway, the guy upstairs is having a look at it. And he doesn't think it's a pen. And he's getting slow motion and all the bonuses of watching it. And I'm like, I can't believe they've not given that a penalty.
Yeah. Weirdly, it was one of those, I think, in slow motion, because you need the force to sort of understand it.
The full pace, play at real speed.
Yeah, whereas with the Javi one, for example, the slow motion obviously kills him because you see the kind of the studs up and then it's obviously red. Whereas with this one, you need the noise to understand what this was.
Straight down. All saying penalty
Take
then.
That. Wow.
All saying penalty then. A good point for Chelsea then coming back. And then just bringing it back to then the Premier League table. You've got Chelsea and Liverpool 4th and 5th on 29 points. Then Sunderland 27 points, a draw for them this weekend. Then Manchester United in 7th, as Gregor said, playing pretty well despite those injuries in defeat at Aston Villa. Then Palace.
Wouldn't go too far with that, Tom.
You said pretty. That was pretty positive, I think.
Yeah, but we should also say that they've missed. I think that was the 6th opportunity they've missed to jump into the top 5. They won 2 of the last 7 or 8 games. They've been bright sparks, but. Crikey, how many chances you want? They could, if they'd won 5 of those games, they'd probably be top.
Man United in the title race.
And they were led in loads of them too.
Yeah.
So let's not linger on that too much.
Okay, I wasn't. I was running through a list. You brought it back up again. Crystal Palace in 8th on 26 points. Then Brighton and Everton both on 24. Then down to Newcastle 23rd. Then Brentford 23rd. Then you've got Spurs on 22 points. Bournemouth 22. Is this the real party in the season? We're going to have this little top 3 at the top, or maybe a top 2. Villa settle in 3rd, and then the real party is who's going to finish 4th. Is that what we're really heading towards, do we think, as we turn the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could see Villa getting pulled back, I have to say. I'm not really signing up to them being sort of, away from the kind of the pack. I think it's possible they'll get pulled back a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to... it's a crazy season, isn't it? This season, none of the big teams are delivering, any kind of consistency. I mean, it's why Villa putting together this run has just pulled them from one end of the table to the other. Because anyone can look from about 12th, 13th up and think, well, 2 or 3 wins. I mean, even Spurs, they're 13th, I think it is, or anyway, around that area.
13th, yeah.
A couple of wins and suddenly you're right back into the kind of Champions League pack. No one's really getting punished for bad form at the moment.
Yeah, mid-table is dead because after that it's just the relegation places below them. Let's finish with the team in 16th place, Leeds, and a Dominic Calvert-Lewin inspired Leeds. Tony Cascarino, he's the subject of your column in the game today. A brilliant performance from him again. You think 2026 could be the year of Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
Well, it was more, Tom, as you know, I went to go and watch him last year at Brighton.
Yeah.
And he lasted 12 minutes. Got substituted, pulled in him hamstring. He then didn't play till May of last season. And his career was quite obvious that Everton were probably going to move on, and so was he, another opportunity. And I listened to him in a podcast in the summer, High Performance, that he did, and he talks about all the challenges that he'd had, plus how going forward, he clearly knew he has to be fit. he has to be ready to play games. And that had been his major obstacle over the last 4 or 5 years. But he also talked about the frustration of being involved in relegation battles all that time. And his numbers were low. You look at his numbers the last 3 or 4 seasons, it's like 17 Premier League goals. So it was more about, and I think he's the best header of the ball in the Premier League as a centre forward. I think he's got an amazing leap. And when he came off at Brighton injured, I was looking at him and I was thinking, your body's a gym body, where he's trying to get fit all the time and doing a lot of different weights. And I don't know, because I don't know his routine, but he just looked a bit too bulky. And I felt there was one injury after another. And I've seen it before with players who get injuries from being in the gym too much. And what I'm seeing now also, he's playing 2 up front. He's playing in a system that they've gone 2 up front, which has enabled him to do less running. Maybe he can pick and choose his runs, and he's got a partner alongside him. I've said it all my career. I don't know any forward who's ever said to me, I like playing up front on my own. Everyone wants a partner. Now, the game changed because of, obviously, the extra body in midfield, and a lot more people want to go 3 up front. Me and Tom were talking off air, like the Ronaldo, the Rooney and Tevez sort of scenario at Manchester United, and many teams have done that 3. And I just think it helps Calvert-Lewin as well. So I'm really hopeful that he has, because there's a quality player in there. This is not a 32-year-old at the end of his career. What's Calvert now? Still 28?
28, yeah.
28 years old. So he's still got time to save his career, because I think even Evertonians know that a really good Calvert-Lewin is
they
one
must be
hell of a player.
looking with Beto and Tieno Barry going, why the hell did we not just keep Calvert-Lewin and get him fit? Because they'd be looking at him. I did see as well, someone shared on social media the goal graphs for his goals at Leeds. Did you see it?
Unbelievable.
All in a straight line, right down the middle of the goal.
Between like 2 yards to the penalty spot.
Extraordinary.
Just a straight line.
It's just a straight dotted line.
As in his finishes.
His finishes.
Yeah, they're all in
where
an
they're
absolutely
from.
straight line in the
As
centre
in
of the goal.
where the position he was. Where he was. Yeah.
Centre of the goal, 2 yards out to 12
Which
yards
is a
out.
Carlo Ancelotti thing from when he was at Everton, who's saying, just stand
When he played his best football,
right
didn't he?
here between the goal. Don't go anywhere else.
That's when
And
he
he's
played his
proved
best
it.
football.
Turns
Tom.
out Carlo Ancelotti knows what he's talking about.
And our dad as well. You take the 2 goals, these 2 goals on Saturday. The long throw by Ampadu comes in, and he's not the one looking to flick it on. He's the one trying to get after the flick on, the initial flick on. So that in itself is saying that's where you're going to get your goals. You're not the one making the flick. You're the one getting on the end of that flick. And he gets 2 goals like it at the weekend. So I'm just hope he stays fit, because I'm really interested to see how he does, especially if they keep with 2 up front. Really
It's just
interesting.
a big if, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's great.
it is a big if.
There's no doubt. Like I said this last week after the Brentford game I was at, which, the less said about the better. It's a great goal and great leap and beautiful. It's just it looks so natural for him. The way he's a great header of the ball, absolutely. But it's just can he stay fit? Like when he signed for Leeds, it was like that could be a game changer for Leeds if he stays fit. But is he likely to? It's not been.
Well, if he can stay fit, then is he an England contender, or is he?
He should be.
Yeah.
It should be, yeah.
Well, yeah, because Solanke's not playing. Watkins isn't having a good season. Tony Tuchel doesn't fancy him. So I mean, why not? I mean,
After Kane, you're really. I mean, Callum Wilson's out of the sort of picture.
Well, he's talked
as well.
about playing Phil Foden as a kind of number 9, but then you could have the surprise off the bench, Calvert-Lewin, 10 minutes in that game against Morocco in the round of 16 where they're about to get knocked out. I can see it coming from him.
Well, yeah, people might be sniffy about that, but that is something that's
I'm not joking.
important at a major tournament.
I can see
You
it coming.
throw on a player who is
You're
a
an
target
option.
man.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for Leeds, then for everyone in terms of it keeping fit, they could stay up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's been a weird old season for Leeds. They spent the summer signing 1 6-foot plus giant after the next, talking about need to be really good at set plays, and they scored 4 goals from set plays in this. They've just leaned more into the project that they started to build in the summer. Daniel Farke still wanted to play the kind of the expansive football. That's the way he's been as a coach throughout his career. Then he switches to 3-5-2, plays it from back to front a bit quicker, and this has been the result. I mean, there's been more to it than that. I think Okafor has been quite impressive actually. He's really a left. I think he prefers playing on the left, like as a left on a front 3. So often although he's playing in a 2, he drifts a bit wider, and I don't know, he's a difficult player to mark, and he's quite creative. So he's been a big kind of boon for them in recent weeks, and it's just really good for the fullbacks in particular, I think, because they're just far better going forward than they are defensively, and it just unshackles them a bit. So it's been a big
Got
shift
now,
now,
haven't they? Got a bit of a gap on certainly clubs like West Ham.
Yeah, they're 6 points to West Ham, 19 and 13. West Ham obviously beaten at Manchester City, which is already a difficult game. Burnley getting a draw. Do we see the bottom of the table a bit more straightforward than this kind of chaos that we're talking above them, or is it's still up for grabs? Obviously, Fulham and Forest playing tonight.
I mean, I think we look at the bottom three. Leeds will still be nip and tuck, but it's hard to pick another team after that. I think Forest will continue to climb the table.
Yeah,
and I think Fulham, we've seen they've got enough quality. Like Bournemouth are dropping, and Brentford, I wouldn't be too confident about like having a completely sort of anxiety-free season. I think they've got enough to be safe, but I think it's very hard to pick who's going to be dragged in. I think
It's very,
I think it's Leeds.
yeah. Look, Scotty Parker's not. I don't think he can keep Burnley up. I think it'd be an amazing job if he kept them up. So we're looking at where Wolves are. We're talking really it's West Ham and all the others that Gregor has mentioned, Leeds and Brentford and whoever could get dragged in. But West Ham is in a scary position.
Yeah,
because they're losing games. Fans aren't happy. What they're going to do in the January window could be adrift by sort of 8 points, 10 points.
it's a massive window, isn't it, for West Ham?
Yeah,
It's like what Martin Samuel said a few weeks back about like you look at all the other teams and you can see some hope. You see where they could turn to maybe change things up a little bit. I mean, not all the other teams, but the teams above them anyway. And Nuno's had the impact, but then you're sort of falling back into that. You're going, particularly defensively, it's just a calamity. Like they need to sign players in January, particularly defensively, I think, if they're going to stand a chance.
Next 4 games for West Ham: home against Fulham, then home against Brighton, then away against Wolves, and home against Forest. That's basically that takes you to the 6th of January. They might not have even signed anyone by then.
No.
And if they've not got points from them.
But that's a big period for them.
Yeah.
They've got to get points.
Well, I mean, when Nuno came in, I think we all sort of thought, they'll be all right because he adds that solidity, and we all sort of just been sleeping on it. I mean, West Ham fans, watching them are really worried, and I think that all the things you would think Nuno would have brought hasn't really happened, and they still got all the weaknesses they had before.
Yeah, really interesting. West Ham fans, do get in touch with me. Tell me just how many players you would like to sign, 20, 30, or maybe just 10 in the January transfer window. We'll leave it there for now. Tom, I was just going to ask, we discussed on Thursday our wishes and hopes for 2026. You got any to contribute?
I was thinking, I really hope that Bellingham and England sort of make up,
Yeah.
Not in terms of the team, but I just hope that the World Cup, I suspect it can kind of go either way, right? And I really hope that he has the kind of tournament that makes everything kind of right again, because it feels like it's all gone a bit sour in the last kind of couple of months. Less Gianni, definitely less Infantino, just generally, across the board. And I was talking to Tony before we came on about the front twos, and I was thinking maybe in 2026 maybe that might be something we see more of, like these little and large partnership again, the kind of Crouch to Foe, like that'd be great, wouldn't it? And it seems to me like it could be something. It sort of matches up with the kind of the trends that we're seeing at the moment, slightly more direct, slightly with set pieces. That maybe something could come in, and I'd be all for it.
QPR are doing it.
Absolutely.
In the Championship. Yeah. QPR playing 2 up front, and I mean, they blew Leicester away at the weekend, but they're doing 2 wingers and 2 forwards.
Yeah. Tony Cascarino's eyes lighting up when you talk about big man, little man up front.
So he's gone 2 up front.
Tony Cascarino absolutely loving the idea of the return to the big man,
coming back.
little man. Yeah, coming back. And we hope you are going to come back, Tony, on the show very soon. But we'll leave it there for now. Tony Cascarino, Tom Allnutt, and Gregor Robertson. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you too for listening. Me and Gregor are going to be back with a little EFL special around Christmas time. We'll see you then.